Hello, and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 163 for the week of June 16th, 2014. My name is Ryan Higgins. A little less congested than last week. Bear with me. Sorry about last week. I sounded terrible. I know I did. Hopefully I sound a little less terrible this week. Sinus infection will do that to you, though. Who else is here with me?
Brock Sager.
Omar, Bryce, Toby.
And Charlie.
No Omar or Bryce this week, although I'll probably be back in a couple weeks. What is everyone up to? How is everyone doing here today? Good?
Yeah, good.
Well, the Swiss won yesterday.
I saw that.
The Spurs won against the horrible Heat, so it's been an excellent weekend.
I don't know the Spurs. I haven't heard of that country. What country is that?
That's San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, they have their own soccer team in Texas?
They have their own soccer team.
They just wanted to break off from the United States.
They have a smaller goalie. It's only a ring that you have to hit. You're not allowed to use your feet.
Well, there has been some World Cup fever here for at least half the cast of the Comic Conspiracy, and I know Bryce is a big fan, so we'll get him to talk about some World Cup as we come here later. But sports have no place in a comic book podcast. We're a bunch of nerds, not sports nerds.
I'm glad you realize that.
Yeah. Now, if we talk about cricket, Charlie, you're with me, right?
Yes, I'm with you on cricket.
There you go. I made Brock watch some of the it was Sri Lanka versus Australia test match today.
I want to see that game.
Something
that's like volleyball and kicking.
He was loving it.
Something was on TV. I didn't pay attention.
Sepak takraw?
Yeah, what the hell is that? Marshall showed it to me. It was excellent.
Sepak takraw. It's volleyball. It's kicking. It's volleyball with your feet. It's awesome.
I will actually continue watching that sport. That was phenomenal. When he showed it to me, I was like, what in the world is happening?
And we are, myself and the aforementioned Marshall and Toby, this weekend we're going to I'd say Red Sox game, although people here would probably call it an A's game. But we're getting all sports stuff here in this.
My first, well, that's the our deal.
Right.
I bring you to a basketball game.
Yeah.
I'll go to
and my first basketball game.
Yeah, my first baseball game ever.
Right. We're there.
I've probably never even seen an entire game ever, more than 5 minutes.
Just make sure you get the garlic fries.
Well, now we see one.
Yeah.
Man, baseball games have really good food. Like, I'm telling you, like, we get there an hour early because you get to get your food, you get to get your beer, you get to get to, like, the lay of the land, figure out where everything is, get your seats, kind of hang out, you know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. All right, let's talk about some comic book stuff here. Yeah, a bunch of random news this week. So I thought it was going to be quite a week, but actually a bunch of stuff came out here that was pretty neat. Maybe you've only interested, well, I guess actually probably most of us except for Brock. Viz, which is the biggest manga publisher in the United States and probably, I'm assuming, in Japan as well. They're huge. They have so many of the big licenses.
Well, here they're like the big one at this point.
Yeah, there's no one else. Well,
they're a bunch of little ones.
Kodansha publishes a lot of their own stuff here.
Yeah.
So there is definitely some bigger companies out there, but Viz still, I think, is such a major part of it. Yeah. But they have announced that they're publishing their books through comiXology. At least the start of Dragon Ball Z, Bakuman, Claymore, One Piece, Death Note,
Which
Bleach.
is interesting because they've been doing that on their own app.
Right. So it's I wonder if this is one of the starting effects of them going to Amazon to now have a nice way for Amazon to offer digital manga as well.
Amazon, I want to say, we're the only ones that were offering Doraemon in English digitally.
I might. You saw they're doing that. Disney got the license to it, right?
Really?
Or I think it was Disney that got the Doraemon license. Someone's publishing it here or putting out the cartoon here in English.
What?
Yeah.
In English?
Yeah. And they changed. There's like a screenshot of one of the first episodes where they have like a rice bowl or something like that, and it got changed to like a pizza or something.
Oh no!
Yeah, maybe it's Nickelodeon. I don't remember if it's Nickelodeon or Disney or who's doing it, but
interesting.
Yeah,
one of the all-time greatest cartoons, longest running cartoons ever.
80% sure I'm not making this up.
Wow!
So
I'd be impressed.
I'll double check later.
Yeah.
After the podcast when I should actually check before or during.
It's all right.
But we don't have to have facts on here. We just say whatever we want.
Sure.
That's okay. You'll be corrected if you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm sure something.
I'm sure Kenzo will say something.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really curious if what this means. I this has to be Amazon, right?
Very likely. I mean,
are they on Kindle? Do you have anyone here have a Kindle?
Yeah.
Do they have manga on there? Is Viz on there? I have no idea.
I have no clue.
The Kindle. Well, since it's on the phone, I have to buy it on the Amazon site.
Okay.
And then it shows up on my Kindle. I don't. No, but the Doraemon is Amazon, is what I'm saying. The digital Doraemon is
Right. You're right. They have that on their own site.
Yeah,
But there's going to be, I don't know if there's going to be print versions of that. So maybe this is just like they're expanding out.
maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just waiting for some nice sales.
Well, they had, okay, I'm looking right now. They have Bakuman for $5.99 on Kindle. So,
On Kindle.
yeah.
And how much is it on comiXology?
I'm assuming $9.99. I'm assuming just full retail. So,
When I was poking around on the stuff that was added, all the stuff seemed to be a bit cheaper going digital. Like, it wasn't 50% off or something, but it was like $6.99 versus $9.99.
That's not bad.
Like
That's not bad. I mean, it makes sense with a company like Viz, and maybe I have their app and I messed around with it, but I don't know what the price on there is. It may be cheaper. Yeah, they have like Blue Exorcist Volume 1 up for like $2 or something. Oh yeah, no, Bakuman $6.99 on comiXology, so that's $3 cheaper than yeah, they're all $6.99. So $1 more than Kindle, but yeah, right now they have, let's see, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Full Color, whatever that is. Blakuman.
I want to say back in the day, I remember them releasing Dragon Ball in color. It was like a super special thingy.
Bakuman, Death Note. Oh, there's actually a bunch more here. They have like Shaman King or Kenshin. Hikaru no Go.
Oh, that's an awesome book.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What?
Knights of the Zodiac.
Hell yeah!
Saints, you get all your Saint Seiya. Prince of Tennis.
Problem is, I have all of that in print.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of scared to go digital with all of that.
Yeah.
As I said, when they have a nice 50% off sale and they're all like $4 a piece, I'll probably be like,
That's still a hefty price,
Well,
though. Like,
yeah, you're going to drop that on 60 or
Yeah.
80 volumes of Naruto?
No, what
Yeah.
you do is you buy a certain amount each time they do it.
oh, okay.
See, it took me for a while to learn this about comiXology, but a lot of the sales that I follow come back around eventually.
But they also do the bundles.
Yeah.
They do a lot of those bundles where it's they have the
like 60 issues for $50.
yeah, it'll be like 99
cents.
cents, or you get an even bigger bundled price. So
I hope for City Hunter to actually come alive this way. That's all I want.
it's
Preferably in
possible.
print version, but if I have to settle for digital, I'll do digital.
Yeah. So if you're one of our digital readers and you like manga as well, you can now buy these through us, and we get a nice little cut. So
I think
extra
manga
pimp
is
there.
actually really well set for digital. I have a really bad feel. I've been staying away. I've been buying a couple of books on comiXology. Come manga, though, I'm a little scared that I might like it too much in digital format. That might just switch over.
Well, that is
Well-
I'm getting a few things that I really like. They're doing the Ranma big volumes, and those I want a print version of. They're what is it? That was a company. I'm totally blanking on it now. They're releasing the Gundam Origin hardcovers, and those are beautiful collections.
That's what I've heard. Why don't you have them so I can stare at them and
I
then
have
have to buy them?
6 of them in my house.
But you
So-
don't have them here in the store.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know that it's something we'd move here, but I wanted them. Well, I get them for you if you want, Charlie. But for a lot of that stuff, I'd love to read them legally, but I'm worried about the space they take up, so digital is...
Mangas take a lot of space.
Order me
after a
the
while.
first one.
Okay, yeah.
Do it.
So I'll get them, yeah. So I'll be real curious.
So that's
Yeah.
one of my fears. Mangas in general, just boxes and boxes, and they're so big to read. I mean, it's not like rereading, like, 3 trades. It's like if you reread a manga, it's rereading like 30 freaking books.
Right.
That's a whole lot of time.
No, there's all sorts of logic I can apply to why I would prefer digital on manga.
Yeah, I'm just so used. I mean, I grew up reading them in
Yeah.
traditional format, so I kind of still prefer it that way. Luckily, I've been able to collect most of my favorites, and I'm hopefully stopping.
Fill in those gaps and
Yeah.
see what's missing. All right, let's see what else we got here.
And by the way, Doraemon is only like
They're cheap, right?
$2.99
Yeah.
on Kindle.
Yeah, they're super
I think
cheap.
I might buy them all. $2.99 is a good price.
So a little while ago, there was talk of Rocket Raccoon #1, upcoming Marvel comic
Hell yeah.
by Scotty Young,
Hell yeah.
favorite of Toby's, getting initial orders of 300,000 copies, which seemed mind-blowingly crazy. Like, what the hell? That seems... I mean, there's hype, but that's crazy for a Rocket Raccoon book.
That's crazy for anything not like big event. In general.
Yeah. We actually found out at least part of why it's so high. I still think it's still way higher. I don't know what's going on here, but There's a company called Loot Crate. Are you guys familiar with this company?
Nope.
They're a company that I want to say there's a few of them out there, but I think these are the big guys now. You basically subscribe to a box of nerd shit that arrives at your house every month, like subscribing to like a beer of the month club, or or a wine of the month club, or something like that, or
I think this is pretty funny. Box of nerd shit.
Yeah, it's what it is, right? I mean, it's whatever. It's $25 a month. I'm sure there's different options, but $25 a month and you get $50 worth of stuff. Mm-hmm. And they ordered 150,000 copies of Rocket Raccoon #1.
What?
So does that mean they sell 150,000 boxes a month?
That'd be amazing.
Is nuts if that's true. But I mean, I know people that do this, so it's possible. So they according to Bleeding Cool, they did some research here, and like Amazing Spider-Man #1. They ordered 6,000 copies of one, but kind of that's where it started. So it seems like they're maybe, ramping up the amount of comics they're going to offer.
Or they might have some way to... Because I naturally assume if they ordered 150,000 copies, they negotiated with somebody to get a very good price on said book.
And that's one of the things I was going to bring up, was that these are still showing up in the Diamond sales charts. They should.
Yeah.
Even if they're at some extreme discount, which makes me wonder, I think things like this need to be taken off those sales charts. I know when DC does their orders for, let's say, Future's End and Batman Eternal, they should knock those down by, I believe they do it 10 or 20%. I can't remember which, because those books are returnable at a later date. And they expect a certain amount of returnability, and then they adjust them post the return time. So I'll be curious if the charts show Rocket Raccoon at the #1 book of the month selling 300,000 copies or not. And I wonder if they're even getting an exclusive cover at that point. Maybe they might. I don't know. I would assume. Well, does it say? I don't know. I don't know. Apparently, that number went up to 180,000. So, and they have a Diamond account. So, yeah, they'll show up in the sales chart. Although they have received a considerable discount for doing so. So there you go. When that sales chart comes out, realize that a lot of these books are going someplace not in the direct comic market. And of that 120,000 going to stores, they've offered a boatload of covers and variants and all sorts of crap and pushed behind this book. So, I mean, it's going to be a big book, no doubt about it. But not quite as big as we were being led to believe, as these things tend to happen. All right, I don't remember if we talked about this in here on the podcast last week. I don't think we did. Maybe we did. But we got, according to Bleeding Cool here, again, some fun information about what could possibly be happening here. Next year, DC is relocating their offices from New York to LA, or an LA-ish area, Southern California.
We've talked about that.
Yeah. I mean, that was a while ago. But because they're going to be moving everything for 2 months, there's talk that the main books won't be coming out those 2 months.
Joys of filler months.
Right. However, there's what Bleeding Cool is calling the DC Band-Aid, whatever, I guess. There's talk of sort of what's coming up with these books. Initially, these were being mentioned by Rich here that these were going to be not by the standard creative teams, and possibly some were, but by outsider creative teams, some independent creators, some people working at Marvel, some former DC staff. So these books are in production now and are just being held by DC and will ship during those months where they're not going to have their editors and their normal creative staff available. Hopefully this also means they can then put the regular standard books 2 months ahead so we don't get any delays with any sort of issues that are shipping around that time. So what I thought was, leading up to this big thing where they said they're canceling all the weekly books in March, I'm wondering now if that means April and May are going to be the months where, well, not that they move in April and May, but April and May are the months that are following those books will be published following the move. So they may move in February and March, but that affects the books for April and May. So there was talk of, there's going to be this big crisis type event, or this lead up post Forever Evil #7. So we're not exactly sure what's going on here for the DC books in the early part of next year. But one of the rumors is that this quote unquote Band-Aid month will be a weekly series that goes every week during these 2 months, and the books will basically all be two-part crossover, over the course of the 2 months, connecting various aspects of the DC universes, the multiverse, but mostly focusing on pre-New 52 versions of characters and post-New 52 versions of characters. Kind of like a little Marvel vs. DC sort of, universes combining. We're going to fight, but for no real, maybe long-term effect. So for everyone that wants Superman in pants and Barbara in a wheelchair and
yes,
Harley in her old costume and
yes,
Amanda Waller being a little heavier, and the Michael Turner Supergirl and maybe Black Bat hanging out, Toby. What else? Maybe Wally
Nightwing
West
in blue?
being Wally West, not some punk kid. Nightwing in blue.
Yes.
All right, so we may get this kind of pre-New 52 that we didn't think we were going to see again, at least not at all. If this rumor is true, I'd be very curious how this is going to work out. What do you guys got to say about this?
So, just from a general logistics point of view, so most of the creators at DC are not located within either DC office, as far as I understand it. Like, Gail Simone isn't operating out of...
No, they're all freelance. They all work, even if they have exclusive contracts, they don't work at DC.
So they're contacting other people right now to write the books concurrently while these people... So those people basically take we have no work for you for 2 months?
My assumption, and I would hope this is how it works, is that they will continue to write on their current schedule, and this allows them to get further ahead on the book, so we don't end up in situations like Forever Evil or Nightwing or Suicide Squad where these books get pushed back and cause a bunch of delays. This could
that would be good.
Or we could see we were gone for 2 months, but we're going to have 2 double months. We're going to test the waters of a Marvel style double shipping. I mean, I think there's ways to get around this to still have the creators get the amount of work they normally would. Have this be right, because if they finish this stuff by the end of the year, it's in the slot and ready to go, and they don't have to do any work for those 2 months while they're getting everything relocated. Plus, they're going to be bringing in. There was rumors of 2 more DC editors leaving. One's going to Marvel, the X-Men office. One's going to Valiant. So that's 2 more editors out of the picture. So this may be a situation where, again, they get to hire people when they bring them in here.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch going on.
Well, I think that for me, it seems a little bit awkward that you're going from the end of the weekly titles, Eternal, Future's End, and what's the other one that's supposed to come up?
World's End.
World End. You're coming out of those and having 2 months of non-normal creative teams on books leading into something big.
Well, we don't know what it's leading into, and it may not be those 2 months. But if they're moving the offices, to me it would feel weird if something happens in April. They start the Crisis 2 or whatever, and then halfway through that they shove this 2 month filler month in. My guess is that this Crisis 2 or what have you, this may not actually be a thing really yet, that this may actually be what is going to happen in April and May, because those weeklies will be over, and we're going to have this stuff take over the DC universe for 2 full months. And if they're going to do a big event, my guess is September, because that's when they've been doing their big events. So if they're going to start a Infinite Crisis on Infinite Crises or whatever, then that September is when it starts. And again, we have the entire month taken over by these, big Crisis crossover books. So we may not get it as soon as we want. We may get 2 big events. We'll get this sort of amalgam Marvel versus DC-ish type book, and then the big book at the end of the year. That seems to be... And again, they like their big book starting at the end of the year, like in the back half, not during the summer months. Forever Evil started, I think, August, right? August, September, October, something like that. So I think it was post. It was September because of the Villains Month. It started at the end of August. So right. So that could be it. We shall see. Toby, you happy to have a couple of your guys back? Maybe for only 2 months.
I want them to come back for good, but I'll take what I can.
Depending on how they do this, considering, I mean, we have tons of precedents between 0 hour and everything else. They could easily fold in certain aspects coming out of it. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
it'll be cool.
Yeah. All right. Just before the podcast started to record, we found Variety.
We found out that USA won.
Yeah, well, that too. That was a little while before. Variety reported. I tend to tell people rumors are great. That's fine, but wait till Variety talks about it. They tend to be the ones that are kind of on the money with this type of stuff. That Jason Momoa, known as
Drogo.
Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones, also on, which I apparently had no idea he was on Baywatch.
Yes.
And Stargate Atlantis.
Yep.
And also, I knew he was in the Conan movie that no one I knew saw. Did you guys see that?
Yes.
Was it any good?
Eventually, I think
okay.
on Netflix.
Yeah.
I think
could
I
have
saw
been a
the
lot
beginning
better.
on Netflix.
I thought he was actually a pretty good casting for Conanish. They could have done better with the movie itself.
Well, like a lot of things, I blame the story. If
Yeah.
they had,
No,
they had
again-
fixed the story, then I'm
Like
sure
I
it would have
thought
worked.
the casting was pretty good, and
Yeah.
so it's just too bad the movie wasn't better. So yes,
Yeah.
blaming the story
That's the
also.
one the baby cut out in the beginning, right?
Maybe I've repressed enough of it.
Well, anyway, you'll be seeing a lot more of him soon if you've missed him on Game of Thrones, as he will be in the May 6, 2016 releasing Batman v Superman as the King of the Seven Seas himself, Aquaman, Arthur Curry.
I love the fact that no matter which version of Aquaman I picture, I could see him as it.
Oh, dude, that Peter David, hook hand, scraggy hair, nailed it. This is...
Do you know really the real reason why we're getting a dark-haired Aquaman?
You know what? Even if Aquaman...
Do you know why?
Even
Do
if
you know
Aquaman's...
why?
Well, hold
I
on.
tell you.
Even if Aquaman's blonde hair in the water, he's going to look all
I tell you why.
dirty anyway, so why?
It's because we had Vinny Chase playing Aquaman.
I know that is.
It's
You've
Entourage.
never watched Entourage.
Oh, okay.
He was Aquaman in the fake
Okay, yeah.
Entourage world, and
Does he have dark hair?
yeah, he basically looks like a tiny Jason Momoa,
Okay.
like a real tiny.
So
version.
when Jason Momoa was on Baywatch?
Those pictures...
Smaller than
bigger
that.
than.
Smaller than that.
Those pictures you showed me, Toby, I mean, he's ripped for a normal guy, but he looks nothing like he does.
Yeah, it's
now.
like as I showed Charlie, I found this. It's like from Baywatch when he was a pretty boy, skinny, ripped, to Stargate. Was it Stargate
He's
Atlantis?
big in Atlantis.
Like he got bigger, but still, but he was more rounder than muscly.
But in Game of Thrones,
and then he got Game of Thrones and what's it called Conan, where his arm got really big. So it's like slowly he's like getting more mass.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
That's what happens when you actually lift weights.
So,
Burn, baby.
all right, good to know. This was kind of going over the weekend, Friday and over the weekend. A lot of people were talking about this, but we'll take it now. It's pretty much official. I'm sure DC will and Warner Brothers will make some sort of announcement about this soon. But when Variety posts stuff like this, I don't know. It's kind of rare that they're wrong. At least this deep into a whole weekend and a full day of speculation. So, unless I hear different, I will go ahead and say that's official. But especially over the weekend, as I'm sure many of you know, and are probably sick to death of us talking about the endless parade of DC movies that may or may never come out, including the Justice League movie. If you want to throw some steam or some fire onto that, we've got a killer of a story here. Nikki Fink, I think is how you pronounce
Nicki
it.
Minaj?
No,
Didn't know you listened to her.
I do not.
He just likes her big butt.
Who is a pretty well-known kind of rumor monger for Hollywood stuff, posted a very interesting list on Thursday, I believe, of this last week, of what Warner Brothers is going to be announcing at Comic-Con this year. And it includes... all right, let's
Please contain
Let's
your
work this.
Please contain your
Yeah.
excitement until after you go through the list.
May 2016.
Doesn't work.
I know.
May 2016, Batman v Superman, which I already know.
God, it sounds so stupid when you say that.
I know, it sounds like Batman Vagina Superman.
July 2016, Shazam. Again, long rumored. Johns have been talking about it a while. This has been something that I think has been in the pipes for a while. We just haven't heard much about it. Christmas 2016, Neil Gaiman's Sandman by, what's his face?
Joseph Gordon.
JGL. May 2017, Justice League, which we've heard about previously. July 2017, Wonder Woman, which later Diane Nelson, president of DC Entertainment, and all their movie stuff, said, we are well aware of our lack of female-led characters in movies and in properties. We will be fixing this very, very shortly. So Wonder Woman movie announcement seems like the most likely. Now this is the one. Christmas 2017, a Flash and Green Lantern team-up movie.
That's Jeff Johns written all over it.
Yes. Oh, Brave and the Bold. Please let this happen. And then May 2018. Oh, yeah. Batman v Superman is not Man of Steel 2 because May 2018 is Man of Steel 2. Come on. Please let this happen. Please let this happen. For the love of God.
Is it Flash Green Arrow or Flash Green Lantern?
Flash Green Lantern. Please let this happen.
Which would be cool, but the Flash Green Lantern did kind of cause me to pause a moment just because of the Flash TV show.
Well, so they also mentioned real quick that Metal Men and Suicide Squad movies were on the schedule at some point. We've heard both of those rumors before, but sidelined for the time being. So
I'm just surprised Shazam before Wonder Woman.
Shazam, to me, is the outlier here. That feels like something that maybe was on the schedule that's getting cut off.
Well, I think that putting Shazam on the schedule is good because, I mean, if you look at the characters that are in Shazam, it's more aimed at a younger audience.
Yeah,
you have the ability to. I mean, you're going to get people with Batman and Superman, but Shazam is able to bring in kind of a younger generation of movie watchers just because of the age of these characters.
No,
potentially.
I love the Jeff Smith's Shazam, and I like the Mike Uncle Shazam. I'll be honest though, I'm sorry, Jordan Fegley. I'm sorry. Shazam was never my character. I mean, Captain Marvel was just never it. I mean, I loved like huge cast of DC character. You know, Batman, Superman, all the way down. But for some reason, Captain Marvel just never. I just never cared.
Well,
I'm there with you.
Yeah.
I've never been a huge
I kind of got into the character with 52 and the stuff that was going on with Black Adam around the time of Countdown and stuff like that. So it's like there's always been kind of an interest there. And with Johns' New 52 Shazam that was in the back of the Justice League books, that was an amazing story, which easily could be transferable to film. But again, it's definitely something that's aimed. I think it's good aiming because they're aiming at kids, and then they're taking Wonder Woman aiming at more of a female audience, and guys too, because we like seeing Wonder Woman.
I guess, like for me, the current round of movies that's been coming out for superhero movies, like for the most part, I'm okay taking my kids to like the Marvel movies, that kind of thing. No problem there, but when it came to sort of like the last round of Batman movies, obviously I wasn't like, hey kids, let's go see Dark Knight. That just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So again, going into sort of like the Batman v Superman movie, I don't like just naturally assume I can take my kids to it. Like, I don't really.
No, I think that's going to be a dark movie.
That's sort of my point. Is I kind of feel like there's still money to be made in properties, especially if you see how well Disney's been doing recently with their movies, at targeting sort of like a strong story that can appeal to both adults and kids. And I think Shazam's a very good character to sort of test the waters without having, okay, now we have our kids Batman franchise and our adult Batman franchise. Our kids Batman's like.
And I could see a potential for a lot of humor in that movie, too. So
yeah.
It might be a very, very good move by them. I just don't know or never cared enough for the character. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hopeful.
Some talk here from one of the sources, quote-unquote. Like Marvel's The Avengers, there will be cameos of superheroes for future installments. Talking about the Batman v Superman will launch as will act as a launching pad for the Justice League. The cameos will include the already known Cyborg and Flash. Green Lantern, now played by Ryan Reynolds, may be introduced, and Aquaman will be in the Justice League movie. So, problem is Warner Brothers is still negotiating with the actors for these cameos and future roles, meaning major contracts for multiple JLA character films to follow. The studios didn't want to move forward until they had this secure, so they started off production they held off production for a few months. Seemingly simple reason, but the implications are pretty darn huge. So, yeah, Shazam to me feels like a weird thing to come out so soon, and having heard nothing about it, if I was going to say one of these isn't going to happen, it's that one. Flash of Green Lantern, I'm almost sorry, Justice League, I want a Flash of Green Lantern movie so bad. Justice League is coming. A Flash Green Lantern team-up, that to me that's incredible. I am so excited for that. Ryan Reynolds or not, I'm excited.
I can definitely see why that movie would work better than like a Flash movie or a Green Lantern movie at this point. Like
look at Captain America.
Safer.
Captain America is not a Captain America movie. They've been Cap and Shield, Cap and Black Widow. It may just be called Captain America, but those have been team-up movies.
And then Thor is Thor and Loki.
Right, exactly. Wonder Woman, to me, I think can stand on her own. Batman, I understand they don't want to jump straight into more Batman movies, but they're coming. But Batman, Superman works.
But even with like the Batman stuff, and this is my rant about everything they're doing with the Justice League and Batman vs Superman, is I think they very intelligently chose to go with the older Batman for that. That way they can have a younger Batman franchise in a world where Superman isn't really present.
Yeah.
Now, as long as they keep doing a good job and it makes money, I'll be happy. I just don't want a DC animated thing going on where, like, okay, we didn't make any money with any of these, now we're going to just do Superman Batman movies.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, partly.
Also
partly not.
The problem is it's very possible. So,
I was just so disappointed I'm so disappointed with the DC animated movies so making that jump.
But my problem with that just has to do with the fact that switching to Batman and Superman didn't fix the trend they were seeing.
Yeah.
They made that decision after doing like the Green Lantern and Wonder Woman movies because they dipped down. But if you look at like the movies they made after those for the animated, like they didn't just suddenly jump hugely back up, switching back to Batman or Superman. It's like they make these knee-jerk decisions and then don't look at the numbers.
Yes.
To just go, hey, look, it's all trending this way, so maybe we shouldn't be.
Yes. Right. Bring on Wonder Woman back.
I just keep, when they talk about trending, thinking about that scene from the Muppets where she's like, this is what's popular in the circle, and she rolls out the thing, and then this is you guys way out here.
Comic-Con, I've bitched about for years that there's very little big news that comes out of Comic-Con. Last year we had the Batman, Superman stuff. If we get this, we talked about this briefly before we started recording the podcast, and Charlie was like, no, I want to go to Comic-Con this year.
No, I said I refuse to imagine it because I'm not going to Comic-Con this year.
Can you imagine if this is even we'll say even 50% true, and they're standing on stage and they're like, hey guys, we want to show you the official teaser for Batman, Superman, like the official artwork and everything like that. We're going to have the actors out and stuff like that.
Keep in mind, at this point, you've waited in line like 10 hours, been fed into the Hall H.
All right, but we've got a little bit more information for you. We want to show you that. Lights come down. Just that, it's got that Inception, burn, just that burn that they always use, and it's just boom, Sandman, Christmas 2016. Justice League logo, May 2017.
It'd be more baller if they bring out all the people.
Wonder Woman 2017. Christmas 2017. Flash Green Lantern, and it just cuts. And yeah, sure, they walk out 10 people on stage or something like that. I mean, that's what they did basically with the Avengers thing a couple years ago. Which, I mean, seeing the reactions and seeing some handheld cam stuff later, like people lost their fucking minds.
I think that Sandman during a Christmas slate is a good time.
That's perfect
for that movie to come out.
Here's my thing. I'm terrified of a Sandman movie because I don't even have a clue. Superman, Batman, I can figure out how all these movies work. What the hell do you do with a Sandman movie? You can't adapt the books. Not really. You can't do the whole thing in one movie. I don't know what you do with a Sandman movie. That's frightening.
Well, I think that, but it's also funny, their next Christmas one is Flash and Green Lantern. Like,
I think that
red
works.
and green.
Yeah, I think that works. I think that works.
They're gonna fight some white character.
Buddy, whole buddy team up movie and stuff like that.
Well planned.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
I like the list going forward, and yes, I think it'd be great if DC's saying, "Oh, we're holding off until we have contracts in place with actors and stuff like that." But again, I think at Comic-Con they need to kind of upplay it a little bit because I mean we've gotten, Marvel's done this is like the little showing just the things. I think you have to now, especially people want a little bit more from what they're getting exposed to initially, because
they should have something at Comic-Con for Batman and Superman. They should have a tiny, quick teaser, even if it's 2 seconds.
I mean, if they had a full trailer,
no, they won't.
That would be
full trailer is 6 months before the movie comes out. No, they won't have anything full for years or for a year and a half. But they are year and a half. But they'll have something at Comic-Con. There's no doubt in my mind. Whether they announce any actors or official release dates or anything for everything else. But I would love to see them come out and be like, yeah, we got like 8 movies planned, guys. Rock it. So, all right, you got a bunch of questions on Twitter here. Let's go through a few of these. It's from Cross X Hunter on Twitter here. And also the forums and everything else. He asks, any of you watch How to Train Your Dragon? And do you guys have any plans to see the sequel? Absolutely. I saw the first one going, well, this looks okay, I guess.
I want to know How to Train a
The
Dragon.
hell is wrong with you?
It's DreamWorks, so it's probably going to be shit, but let's watch it instead.
It's fucking Chris Sanders. That's what it is.
I have no idea who that is. How to Train Your
Lilo
Dragon.
and Stitch Man.
Okay. How to Train Your Dragon was incredible.
Yes.
And I thought I saw the trailer for the second movie, and I'm like, well, this kind of looks like some shitty DreamWorks movie, and it looks like it's going to be terrible, and everyone's telling me it is incredible. So I'm very excited to still see the sequel.
Yes,
despite the trailers looking like typical DreamWorks garbage.
No, I kind of liked the trailer, pretty honestly.
The trailer looked like shit.
I kind of liked it.
It looked like the same bullshit every DreamWorks trailer looks like. Dumb.
No?
People being like, "Burn," and it's just bad trailers.
What trailer did you watch?
Whatever the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon.
When he's flying around with Toothless and has the helmet?
It's just a bunch of goofy nonsense.
What do you mean? They were flying around.
There was a little bit of that, but
What was
whatever.
the goofy?
I don't know. Like there's some cool stuff with a bunch of the bigger dragons coming later, but it has like that cheesy VO and just the layouts of that trailer made it look bad.
Yeah, you're so negative, Ryan.
I'm not. I loved the first movie, despite it not looking that good. And then I saw it, and I was like, holy shit, this movie's incredible.
I've only seen some of the shorts that they've done.
Well, they have like the full-on cartoon, right?
Yeah, they have a series.
Yeah, the series. No,
it any good?
I haven't
watched
seen
it.
the series, but I love the feature though.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved
it.
it.
First one was great.
I'm really looking forward to the second one. I haven't had time to go out there though.
Yeah, it just opened last week. This past
Yeah,
weekend.
weekend.
Yeah,
There's a lot of sports going on lately.
My wife and kids went to see it. They said it was good.
nice.
Nice. Actually, the other DreamWorks one, I was really surprised. So the one I took your kids to, the Guardians of Guardians of something.
Is that the owl one?
No. The
Rise of the Guardians? Is it Rise
Yeah.
of the Guardians?
yeah,
I think it's Rise of the
That was
Guardians.
like the Fables movie, right?
yeah.
Kind of, yeah. It's like with the rabbit and the Santa Claus. I was actually pretty impressed with that one. I was.
It was good.
I mean, I had a freebie pass from work. Like, took Charlie's kids. Didn't expect anything of it, right? I was like, whatever. And then I was thoroughly impressed with the movie.
Huh. Cops outside. What's up, cops?
So I'm about to get shot.
They overheard like 4 grown men talking about like kids movies and DreamWorks. They're checking up on us to make sure we're not doing anything bad here.
Yeah. I'm super excited to see the second one, though. So
Yeah.
I didn't know it was the same guy that did Lilo and Stitch. That's great.
Yeah.
There you
Well, the second one he's not involved anymore supposedly, but he directed
Yeah.
the first, co-directed the first one.
Yeah,
But he's
yeah.
also the basically the creator of Lilo and Stitch.
Cool.
Fantastic artist.
Nice.
Really nice guy. He's always there at Comic-Con too. You
Nice.
could just say hello to him. He's a fantastic guy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Jason here on Twitter asks, what is your opinion of DC's schedule? I'm assuming he's talking about the movie stuff.
Oh, and Croods. He also directed Croods.
I'm not even joking. exact same thing. The trailers to that movie make it look like absolute shit.
No, I think it's because Nick Cage was voicing it. That's probably why you were.
Well, then people told me it's actually pretty good.
I liked it.
So
it's not on the. I'll be honest, it's not on the level on Toothless and Lilo and Stitch, but it was all right.
The trailers look so bad for that.
Well, you don't like it to roll over and the dog leg rolls over and falls all the way down.
There's some funny parts, but
like
I'm watching the trailer and I'm like, this looks like. What is wrong with DreamWorks? But then people said it was actually pretty decent. So
again, I liked it. Yeah. Not on the par of Lilo and Stitch and Toothless.
Sure. Well, Jason continues here. He says, while it's good they have faith, they haven't exactly earned it either. So I'm assuming he's talking about the movies here. I mean, what do you think? Can DC hold this schedule we were just talking about here a few minutes ago? Well, can Warner Brothers hold it?
Warner Brothers got a lot of money.
Look at the a lot of experience. My thing is this: look at the Harry Potter movies. They held that schedule, right? They hauled ass on those movies.
Yes.
No,
made a shitload of money
Brothers,
too.
Warner Brothers is good as once everything's lit and ready to go. They are really good at staying on track and staying on schedule and keeping.
I hope so.
Keeping it up. So, yeah, I mean,
we got that email a few weeks ago or a month ago or so. That I don't remember who wrote it in, but they were saying that basically Warner Brothers has kind of been directionless and didn't have a strong. President or COO, or I don't remember what it was, but there was basically the leadership at the top was not there. But now they have people in charge, and all this stuff's getting greenlit. I mean, you see DC has like 6 properties turning into TV shows in the next like 18 months. So obviously stuff is happening now at a probably this build up has been going at such a rapid pace, and they have all the stuff ready to go, and boom, they hit the lights and release the hounds or whatever. Now everything's going like crazy. So I hope they can hold on to it.
That's okay. Just tell me Jeff Johns is heavily involved in all these movies, and then I'm good.
He's COO of DC.
I know.
So.
I mean,
but I just want him to be heavily involved, not had one meeting at the beginning and then didn't see it until it was done.
You know he's heavily involved if they do a lot of filming in Detroit.
Yeah. So Stefano here asks a question. This actually, we got some people that are commenting they like kind of the retailer talk on here, so that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about here for a second.
I'm glad your books always come well shipped, Stefano. I do my best.
Yeah. Greg Pak, who's a comic writer, does Action Comics right now and A Long Run to the Hulk and a bunch of other good books. He had a link on his Tumblr about basically the responsibility of customers pre-ordering indie comics and picking them up in single issues as opposed to waiting for the trades. Basically, the Rocket Girl was the example, was that 8,000 copies sold a month, or an issue, I should say. The creators, they can do it, but they're not making any money on it. As little as 12,000 copies, they're making as much money as the creators were working for Marvel and DC. So not that many more books, but a pretty substantial amount of extra money because they're paying all the different, the artists can only do really one book a month or one book every 2 months. The writers can write multiple stuff if they feel like it. So Stefano here says, the indies and the values of floppy sales. How much do stores have a responsibility to the advocates / hand sellers of the unknowns to consumers, or should shops shoulder any burden at all? I have some pretty strong feelings about this, but as more on the reader side, what do you guys feel? And Charlie, since of everyone here, you're definitely more the
absolute reader.
The full time the employee that is on the register by himself, straight for lengths of time, dealing in selling and hand selling customers. What's your take on this? And you guys do as well. Because you do it as well.
The bottom line to me is if you put out a good comic, I will push it to people and say this is a good comic. If you put out a bad comic, I will never mention it to anyone. Well, it's really what it comes down to. Like I read a lot of different indie number ones every week, and every once in a while I'll get something where I'm like, holy shit, this was great. And then other times I'll be like, this is some of the worst art I've ever seen.
I had 4 people in here on Wednesday. I described the plot of Southern Bastards 1 and 2, and all 4 of them wanted the second print of number 1 because we were already sold out. So yeah, people listen when you tell them.
Well, yeah.
If it's that good.
Yeah.
I think it's, because I try and read as much as I can. I mean, because I know you're ordering independent books is kind of mainly based on track record of creative teams. Also, just however much is coming out.
Well,
that during that given previews.
Let me give you my retailer end, because that's going to lead directly into what you're talking about here. One of the problems I think some people have with the way comic stores exist. Comic stores aren't charities. We are a business. I exist to make money.
Wait, you make money?
I do occasionally make money. Yeah. I love comic books. I love talking to customers. I love dealing all this stuff. I love every aspect of this industry. But, the long and the short of it is, if I don't make money, the store's not here. If the store's not here, that's a lot worse for the industry. Not that my store specifically would alter the industry that much, but this is every store has to be a business first, a profitable store. Otherwise, this is all for nothing.
And on sort of the flip side of that, that's part of the reason why, if there's a book that I believe is really, really good that will cause somebody to come back and buy number 2 or decide to buy the trade, or yes, the amount of runs of Green Lantern I've sold have nothing to do with the fact that it was a DC book. It's because people started it and then they wanted to keep going. Yeah.
I'm going to call out a book, Umbral, which you guys may have remembered me talking about a few months ago from Image Comics.
I read issue 1.
Like most Image Comics, with no creators with any sort of huge track record. Obviously, the new Robert Kirkman horror book, Outcast, I ordered a whole lot of based off Walking Dead. The Velvet or Saga, things like that. Obviously,
Velvet's awesome.
Those are books where I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to order billions.
You're ordering based on the creator and based on their track record.
I'm okay selling out of books. I know they're going to do second prints, third prints, trade paperbacks, so I'm okay occasionally selling out of this stuff. Again, so I don't want to front load a bunch of titles and get stuck with them, and then I lose money on that, and therefore I can't afford to buy more titles. So I don't want to sell out of everything, and I generally don't. But I try to keep my orders as tight as possible, which is, I feel, good business. So Umbral was a perfect example of a book where the issue came out. I ordered kind of like a generic 5 copies of, because I'll order 5 copies of probably any Image number 1. Or there was a book, Red City, that came up this past week.
I haven't read it yet, but it's on my stack.
Well, so there's a book where, again, at least not jumping to my mind right now, a creative team I'm very familiar with sort of looked okay, kind of generic 5 copies. At the end of every week, we get what's called a final order cutoff, or FOC. You've probably heard me mention this on the podcast before. I then look back at my past weeks of sale, and I look at what I've sold in that past week. In the past week, I sold 1 copy of Red City. And for Umbral, I had sold 1 copy of Umbral to my 1 subscriber that ordered it. So the following issue, I'll cut my order down to 2 copies. I sold 1. Maybe I'll sell more. Maybe I won't. I can always reorder if I need to. Maybe there'll be a second print. Maybe there'll be a trade. So what happens is issue 2 comes out, and I'll tell you what will happen. I'll sell 1 or none, and then I will cut my order to 1 or none and not have any shelf copies, and it goes to the subscriber, and if they cancel, I cut to 0, and I never look back. I recently moved Witchblade to subscriber only, much like I had done with Spawn in years past. A long-running book that has dwindled to me selling 1 copy. Now, for something like Witchblade, I'm willing to give it a few extra months because this is a long-running book, and it could just be people didn't come in for a few months. Nope, I look back, I'm like 3-4 months. I've sold 1 copy to the 1 guy that orders it. Done. Burn the rest. Never look back.
One slight alteration to that, just that doesn't mean you never look back when a trade comes out or
no,
because that's where examples like Skull Kickers comes in and that kind of stuff.
I sell more trade paperbacks, and I have 1 person that orders Skull Kicker single issues, but I'll sell 3 or 4 copies of the trade paperbacks. Yeah. So I'll order them when they come out. Right? It's not like I'll never stock this book, and if someone asks for it, I'll gladly order it. If there's a new creative team or a new switch or some reason for me to kind of bump those numbers and try it again, I will. But I'm
just making a point that basically it doesn't mean that you've decided there's no audience for this book. It just means that for the single issue, some things just are not going to sell that way for you.
And I've talked about this in the past. Larfleeze, I order 14 copies of Larfleeze, the DC comic. I have 14 subscribers for it. I don't stock it on the shelf at all anymore because I had stopped selling copies off the shelf. Doesn't mean it doesn't sell well. Hell, it outsells most books I order. 14 copies is not a lot, but you have to understand, a lot of books, especially in the back half of the book, we're ordering 2, 3, 5 copies, right? So it's still a decent selling title, but it doesn't. I don't move a single shelf copy, so I think
part of the thing goes to what Charlie had said about him saying, "Put out quality books, good books that I want to talk about and that I want to, recommend to people." Because that's the thing is, we've also talked about this too, and especially with like kind of Image and the independents, is that you're ordering based on a couple of different factors, be it creative team, be it track record of the company, be it just in general, well, it looks okay,
right.
So I mean, with those things in mind, but if it's something where it's like, hey, we have this copy, read it through, see if you like it, right, and it's something that you bring him, like it's sent to you. You give it to Charlie, say, Charlie, read this. Charlie will read it and go, here, Brock, read this. Like, and it's kind of like gives you a little bit more, because if something him and I are going to talk about to customers, and you talk about to customers, you're more apt. There's more apt to be more of an audience,
right?
But if it's something like what was it? I tried wood or trees? No, trees.
The
Ellis book, right? That book ended weird.
Well, that's going to sell because it has Warren Ellis' name.
It's going to sell because it has Warren Ellis on it, but it ended weird. I'm not necessarily going to recommend it to people because I don't know what's going on in the book yet, and that's issue 1, and I don't know what's going on. But a book like Dead Body Road, I picked that up. I read the first issue. I was like, holy shit, this is good. Yeah. I'm going to recommend this to people, whether or not I'm actually able to pick it up myself.
All right.
Because I know that readership, people have to be tight with what they put on their pull list or what they get week to week.
Yeah.
But if it's something where, like let's say a friend let you borrow a copy of Dead Body Road, you read it and you say, I really like this. Going to kind of the local comic book store and saying, when this comes out in trade, I want this.
Yeah.
It's because I know your Invincible numbers have gone down single issue.
Yeah.
But you sell a fair amount of Invincible trades.
They've both kind of dipped, but that's what happens when the series goes on for a long time. Even our Walking Dead numbers are way down, especially in the trade paperbacks, and I'm curious why that is. But, you have to think of it this way, too. I don't blink. I don't have to do a single ounce of work, and I sell 100 copies of the Saga trade paperback and 40 copies of every single issue. And I do no work, and I sell 70 copies of Amazing Spider-Man or whatever. Right? I mean, those books sell themselves. So asking retailers and employees to put in the effort to hand sell 2 or 3 copies of a book that may or may not ever have anything else with it past that, maybe by not the biggest creators that won't be around. I mean, that's a lot of work. So the reason I push people on something like Southern Bastards is because it's a book I really care about, and I think I can sell in good numbers. I really like Knights of the Dinner Table. Charlie also really likes Knights of the Dinner Table, and we represent 2 of the 3 readers of that book in the store, and no matter what I'm going to say is never going to get anyone else to read that book. Well, I don't push that title.
Because that title is for a specific type of reader, and
right.
Because that's the thing is
it's got its target audience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but it's a book like Umbral comes out, there's no real information about it except for the blurb that's in previews. Right.
And it's tough. I mean, I feel bad for creators, but you could ask if 12,000 copies of an Image book at 1,700 comic stores, that's roughly 7 copies per store. I'll tell you this right now: most stores aren't going to sell 7 copies of an Image book. You're going to get your Isotopes and your comics experience in San Francisco, and you're going to your Midtowns. They're going to sell a whole bunch, absolutely. But I can go through Boom and Dynamite and parts of Image and Oni and see these books, and I'm like, I don't order a single copy. I don't sell a single copy, or I sell 1 to the 1 subscriber. To me, the store's responsibility is to stay in business and stock books that they can sell. If there's no customers for it, there's no customers for it. I'm not shitting you, 5 copies of Wolverine. 5. Wolverine. The guy in all the movies? The guy that's one of the most popular comic book characters of all time?
Who's going to take 3 months to die?
5. I sell 5 copies. Why would I stock 50 copies of Wolverine every issue when I sell 5 copies?
Also, just in terms of,
I am not standing in front of my store going, do not buy Wolverine here.
No.
I stocked 25 copies or 50 copies of number 1, and I sold like 10, and I was like, holy shit. So I stocked like 15 in number 2, and I sold like 6, and I was like, what is going on? It's not like the current series, it's like the previous one. And then I ordered like 7, and I sold like 3, and I'm like, oh my, what is going on? Like, this is incredible.
And here's the other thing about, say, if you were pushing the Wolverine book on a bunch of people and they ended up not liking it, they're obviously not going to listen to you the next book you push on them.
Right.
Versus you push Southern Bastards on a bunch of people, they read it and love it. When that next book comes out, they're going to pay attention to what you have to say.
Well, like I said, Wolverine's going to sell itself. And if people aren't buying Wolverine, I'm not going to get them to change their mind on buying Wolverine. Yeah. Those Marvel and DC books, I tell people, hey, the best Avengers book on the market right now is Secret Avengers, hands down. I sell 7 copies of it. It's like, whatever. What can I do? And then I turn around and the unreadable Hickman garbage sells like 40. So it's like, oh, whatever. Nothing I can do about that. I'm not going to change anyone's opinion on that.
While I agree with you in very, very general terms, the amount of copies of Green Lantern I've sold over the life of the Johns run.
But those are probably more trade paperbacks. Trades are a little bit different.
Oh, I've been screaming the Green Lantern thing since it was single issues on Rebirth.
Sure.
I definitely get what you mean. And it does help when there's a trade out, like an easy starting point for people.
Well, I'll give you this. Green Lantern is a perfect example of a character that comes out of nowhere. Yeah. There was a third stringer that comes out. I mean, it's kind of like, the She-Hulk book that's out now, or Silver Surfer, or maybe even Thor. Like, these are books that I would think a lot of traditional comic fans of superhero books would overlook.
Yes,
because most people aren't going to pick up a Silver Surfer comic, just especially Dan Slott and Michael Allred. I mean, the style of that book is so untraditional that I think that is a book where you can get people in to read that may not be typical readers of the superhero stuff, and they may like it. Hawkeye's a perfect example, or Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel. Mm-hmm. Those are books that are selling to non-traditional Marvel fans.
Well, I think it's not necessarily the
but it comes down to know your audience.
Well, but I also think it's not necessarily the job of the comic book store to pump these titles that they have there's no audience for. I mean, you get people coming in saying, oh, I heard about this Hawkeye book. Oh, I heard about this Sex Criminals book. Oh, I heard about this, Pretty Deadly book. And it's all internet buzz for these titles. And that's why...
For some of it, yeah. Sure.
But it's one of those things where, that's also the work of the creator. It's also the work of, getting the word out there in social media and stuff like that. Whereas, the more people you're going to get to come into a store to buy is going to, increase the numbers of potentially having people pre-order.
Well, you got to think of it this way. Internet buzz is a weird thing because you may have 5,000 people on Tumblr talking about a book, but you have to realize how few of those translate into actual sales because, let's be honest, internet people tend to pirate a lot of the stuff. I'm not saying it's all. I'm not saying it's 100%. I'm not saying it's even 50%. But the online readers of comic books that are very active into communities, a good number of them are not buying comic books in comic book stores. They may occasionally buy trade paperbacks, but a lot of this there is still a huge piracy for comic books. And again, I'm not saying that's the case for everyone, but a lot of internet popular books, their sales are not indicative or reflect their internet popularity. And here's the thing: even if 5,000 people on Tumblr are buying Lumberjanes, let's just say, they may be the only 5,000 people buying those books. They may be a very adamant fan base, but 5,000 copies isn't going to make a book survive. Not for very long. No. So the creators need to get out there, get their people in the stores. If no one tells me they want a book, if I don't see anything interesting of it, I may not order it. I may have 20 people show up on Wednesday asking for the title, but guess what? Not a single person talked to me about it beforehand. Not a single person put money down. Not a single person pre-ordered it. Not a single person asked for it. Mm-hmm. How am I supposed to order that book at that point? Now, occasionally, it's my fault because, holy shit, of course I should have ordered this book. But Lumberjanes is a perfect example of a title. It's kind of a more girl-oriented book. It's from Boom Studios. Two things that are Boom has a decent track record, but I don't sell too much of their stuff. Lumberjanes is not a property I've heard of. The creators are not people I've heard of. And the audience tends to be, let's just say, not traditional comic book store customers, especially Wednesday store customers. However, this book was getting a lot of internet buzz. So I ordered what I felt was a decent amount. Well, as we led up to the book, I heard almost nothing about it. And then when the book came out, I sold very little of number 1. A couple weeks later, though, the book started to sell more. By that time, I already put in my order for number 2, having dropped my numbers. And by that point, we already had much more buzz on the books. Then I started bumping my orders. Now we're fine. I mean, I think I sold out of... I think I have like a copy or 2 of the most recent one of number 3 or 4, whichever just came out. But
I think it's 4.
If you're looking forward to a book, pre-order. Call a comic book store and ask for it. Go down and give them money. If you come down and give me $3 or $4 for a comic, I will double check that book. If you pre-order a comic and I am ordering 0 and someone gives me $4 in advance for it, I will probably bump that copy up to 3 or 5 copies. Just because, holy shit, there is a fandom. There's one person tells me they want a book. It makes me look at it again. All it takes is one look, and I'm going to order some more. Not always, but sometimes. And I'd say actually most of the time.
Never works when that guy's name is Toby.
Well, I may completely overlook a title. Well, but see, the books you want are low-tier Marvel and DC books that I'm already ordering anyway, so that's a different story. But there's a case, if you tell me you're really psyched for a book, and you're like, dude, I'm so happy for this book, I can bump my orders from 8 to 10 copies. It doesn't sound like much, but you're talking a 20% increase, right?
Well, I mean, if you're looking at the internet, I mean, you place the order for a book how many months in advance?
2 to 4, depending on the company.
So it's 2 to 4 months in advance that you're placing your, initial order, and then the final
FOC is like basically 4 weeks before.
Yeah, so a month before a title's supposed to come out, you have your FOC. A month and a half prior is when they need to start the internet needs to start talking about this book, saying this is coming out, so on and so forth, so people can come to the store before you hit that FOC mark. Because if somebody comes in before you hit FOC and go, I want a copy of this book, or I want to pre-order this book, and it's somebody that comes in on a regular basis, you're like, okay, I'll pre-order it. You, like you said, you might actually bump your numbers up to 3 or 5 copies.
Yeah.
Based on just because somebody knows that they're coming in beforehand.
You have to think about this. Now, stores are going to vary different store to different store, but here we have 100 some odd subscribers. We have, last I checked, 200 to 300 what I would consider regular customers that aren't, about double our subscriber base, or our customers that have a particularly good track record of coming in on a semi-regular basis. Plus, which, again, for some stores, that's half a Wednesday. For us, that's what we do, so whatever. But I'm sure this will go, across, a lot of stores probably look like this. Previews, which is the big ordering form that we get every month. We used to give away a ton of copies. Recently, we started charging for it because of price increases for it, which shows me the people that actually want it, which has gone down to, I think, 11 copies now. So 11 people out of the 300 are getting the catalog of what's coming up. One of those people, hi Michael, one of those people give me an order form every month, right? One person. So that's not a lot of people.
So it's like
I have a couple people
0.3%, and then 10% of that 0.3% actually gives you an order form.
I have a couple people that will say, "Hey, I saw this in the thing. Oh, I want to order this. Hey, can you put me down for this?" So Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, I get a flood of emails of pull me this, pull me this, pull me this. Those orders need to come in pre-FOC. That's the problem. I generally could fill them all. Again, I'm not blind to this. I'm not selling out of 90% of our books on Wednesdays. I have a general understanding of how this stuff works. But if you want to move your copies of Rocket Girl from 8,000 copies to 12,000 copies, you need to get those 4,000 people in stores prior to FOC ordering the book, get those people to pre-order, get those people to put their money down, get those people to talk it up to their stores, because most store owners, and I know this for a fact, live in a fucking vacuum and do not go online and don't read the internet and aren't on Bleeding Cool and aren't on Twitter. Maybe not the best ones, but the majority are completely blind to this stuff. And all they see is one page or a quarter of a page or an eighth of a page in previews, and that's all they know. I'm terrible. I read everything online, so I see all this shit ahead of time, and even then, I still miss stuff. So you can imagine people who are just completely don't do any of this.
Oblivious.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a follow-up question in regards to FOC and everything. So FOC basically would be if you want to get it on the release Wednesday, that's when you have to adjust your numbers by and everything.
As long as there's not a diamond delay or shortage.
When would you say is sort of the typical time frame of when you can still order something if it does suddenly get a little bit of buzz? Like if somebody comes in 2 weeks before it's coming out because they just found out it came out and say, I want this book, you may not get it the release Wednesday,
right,
but I would think the chances of being able to order one are still fairly good.
Right. Dark Horse, DC, I'm going to say even that Wednesday. It is rare that I find those two companies sell out of books on a release day. DC especially has always been very good about having, maybe too good, about having stuff in stock. Image and Marvel, the day after FOC, almost everything goes to back order because they print very close to final orders, but they also have, there's always a portion of these books that are held in reserve for damages and shortages. So if there's a problem, like we had an entire box go missing, that's, 400 comic books went missing on us 2 weeks ago. So they had to grab like 25 copies of Action Comics and every copy, and like 15 copies of Batman 66 or whatever, and 30 copies of X-Men. They had to grab these books from this overstock to fill our orders because who knows what happened to this box. It just vanished. So most of the other brokered publishers, Boom, Dynamite, they'll generally have copies in stock. And again, I can order a Marvel comic day of. It says it goes to back order 2 weeks later. We have it, right? I mean, they just don't fill those orders. They don't need them, so they go back into the system and first come, first serve. We were already in the system for them, so we get them. Yeah. But most Marvel books sell out. Most Image books sell out on release day because they print very close.
Well, I'm just wondering, just based on... I understand if something is really hot or whatnot and Wednesday rolls around, everybody's putting in reorders for that book because nobody knew exactly what was coming because, as you sort of said, you're ordering blind in a lot of ways.
How about this? 10 minutes after Bleeding Cool posts an article about it. There you go.
Yeah.
That's when I can stop reordering it.
But I guess what I'm saying is I still feel like if you come in 2 weeks before the book comes out or 3 weeks before the book comes out, there's still a very good chance you may not be able to get it released Wednesday.
Sure.
But I would say, would you say it's safe to say 95% of books out there are still orderable in the form that will get filled?
And again, you have to realize, too, Marvel, DC, Image, Dark Horse, Boom, Oni, Dynamite, the most of the big companies, I'm ordering 50 to 95% of those titles anyway. 80% of those titles to 90% of those titles are all going to have shelf copies. So I'll have copies not held, not in reserve. They'll all be ones that I can still pull from stock that's not reserved yet. And the books that aren't, there's a very good chance I could still get. When it comes to some of the small press titles, those books are all purchased by Diamond. So Diamond doesn't, there's no final order cutoff for those. Diamond says, well, we think, we got orders for 5,000 copies. Let's take 6,500 copies. We'll keep these 15 around because we believe in the book, or give me 5,000 because we're never going to sell another one. They know. So they cut purchase orders for those numbers. And those books are held by Diamond. They're not held by Marvel or Image or whatever.
I guess all I was really trying to cover is, yes, don't come into a comic store looking for a really hot book that came out 2 weeks ago and expect the store to be able to get it for
No
you.
one's going to have it, right?
But if you come out 2 weeks before the book comes out, even if they've already done their final order cutoff, your chances are much better.
Well, your chances increase of actually getting the next issue a lot easier.
Well,
Maybe not necessarily. You'll grab the second print if they do a second print of that issue that you missed.
But even then, you might... My experience when it comes to sort of like the reorders is that the Wednesday it comes out, if the book's hot, things explode and go crazy as stores are selling out of them or whatnot. But if you placed a quote-unquote, okay, there's a bit more buzz around this, or you know what, I just saw some artwork from this issue that's coming out, and you place a order for more copies because you have faith in the book at that point, most of the time you end up getting those copies. You don't get those copies on the release Wednesday. But
yeah, they'll come in the following week or two.
Yeah, you still have an opportunity to get more copies.
But I think that's no. But what's going to what Ryan said is that he orders 5 of number 1. He sells 1, so he orders two or 3 of number 2. Sells 1. He orders 0 copies, or he orders 1 copy of number 3, and then doesn't order a shelf copy. So that's the thing is coming in and getting giving the buzz for this book might not guarantee you that first issue, but it might guarantee you getting a second or third issue.
It very well can translate to getting second printings of number 1 or the number 2 when it comes out. Yes, that buzz does translate into sales to a degree when things go crazy on the issue 1.
Like Southern Bastards number 1 for $15.
But I guess the only point I'm really, really trying to get at is it's a lot to expect of when you are not necessarily a hugely diehard comic fan. There's a reason why you only have 11 people who really pick up previews and go through it. And out of those 11, I've had those subscribers come in and have like 3 months worth of previews sitting in their box that they pick up at the time. So they're obviously not going through it 3 months in advance most of those times. They just want to see what's coming out in case they want to say, hey, Ryan, this was in previews 2 months ago. Can you order it for me?
Yeah.
But I think the amount of people actually go through previews when the retailers would actually place their order or even go online, because to a degree, most of this information's out there, but most people aren't looking what's coming out 3 months down the road. Now, mind you, if you want to look at what's coming out next week, the week after, a month from now, still let your comic shops know. Yeah. Is all I'm trying to get at. Well, okay. Because
some people may call bullshit on me for this article or on this topic, because I've talked on the Geek Box and maybe even here at length in the past about my frustration with GameStop and Fry's and Best Buy in recent years, and why I've switched the majority of my stuff to just get stuff on Amazon, is because I try to go into the stores on release day and they don't have what I would believe to be pretty significant releases.
Yeah, like a Disney movie at Best Buy not having it in stock
at all, right?
Yeah,
that's crazy, right?
Or they ordered like 2 copies.
So for me, you have to think there's 80 to 100 plus comics that come out every week. You're talking some of these that have a history of low or middling sales. Something like that. Like when I try to get my Diablo 3 special edition day of when it came out, to me that is like walking into here on Wednesday and being like, oh, I didn't order any Amazing Spider-Man for the shelf. I don't. Why would I? No, I don't think we need Amazing Spider-Man for the shelf. I only do pre-orders on that. That is insanity. Or like going to Best Buy to try to buy a Disney movie on release day, and they ordered 2 copies. Well, what the fuck?
I had this experience with a very kind of nerd-centric movie. And, I mean, we do have a lot of, smart, nerdy people in this area, and Willow came out on Blu-ray, and none of the Best Buys in the area had ordered a single copy.
That's a bit. I mean, I'm not going to say that.
I can understand the middle of nowhere, Kansas.
Yeah,
but tech center kind of
old reissue of a movie like that. I mean, again, I would expect most stores would order a couple. If no store ordered a single copy, that I find a little hard to believe, or weird if they didn't. But it's tough with movie reissues. I would think Disney's a little bit different because that's
more family.
That's my printing money. Disney reissues are on a different schedule and different.
They are older though. The ones where I go in and they don't exist. There are older ones, but I'm still fairly annoyed. I'm like, I go in there and going, dude, this is a release date movie.
Here's one big difference between this example and here. I don't believe for a second, yes, somebody at Best Buy can order something for me. But in terms of what they get on Tuesday, I kind of don't or what they have to put out on Tuesday, I do not actually believe anybody in the store said, I want this many copies of it. I think
the stores aren't controlling their orders.
Right.
The
exactly.
Orders are done from the distribution centers.
Saying they didn't get any here versus nobody at Best Buy is going, okay, I need to just send 10 copies of Willow to this one store because the market there would probably do better on
not gonna
Willow.
happen.
Holy crap! They might actually make money.
But
but
that
the effort to put into making that
to
decision,
break
have
it
someone
down
there, it's
by
not worth their money.
location to determine which locations would sell
Yeah, to
Willow.
To sell 20
It
copies
just-
of Willow here versus paying a dude making that decision, they're like, whatever.
No,
if they really want it, they can order it online.
Yeah, for stuff like that, they're going to say send 2 copies to every store. But I would think
Exactly.
larger releases where you have things like movies and, if
Oh, no, I agree with you. There are... The number one thing that pisses me off at like Target or Best Buy or that kind of stuff is when they get 2 copies of something they have an exclusive for. That's when I just throw up my hands and go, what the hell is going on?
I mean, if you think about it, all comics are exclusive to comic stores, right? I mean, there's very little ways to get these otherwise.
I'm talking about like the steel bookcase for Thor or like...
Well, to me, that's probably... I mean, here's how they do that, right? That's like the variant of the limited edition where they're like, look, we can guarantee 10,000 copy sales. We have 5,000 stores, 2 to every one. It's pure profit. We never look back. It's leaving a bunch of money on the table, possibly, but they don't get stuck with anything. I mean, again, I understand why this happens. And this, I hope
I don't understand why they put it in the ad.
Well, really get those 2 people down there. Anyway,
it's to get the people who looked at the ad 2 weeks in advance because it was on a blog. That's who they're getting, Charlie.
That's our big retailer talking. You should pre-order your comic books.
Pre-order comic books that you want to get.
And what you should also do is go on geekbox.net and comicsconspiracy.biz. I can pronounce my own story occasionally. And listen to this episode and all our previous episodes.
A horrible segue to the
I know. And you could discuss this episode, and as well as all our previous episodes, and E3, and the Geekbox, and
you get the big E3 after talk this week.
Oh, they already had their E3 talk.
No, this is the E3.
Can we do an ET talk episode?
Trust me, all Ryan Scott wanted to do was go home. So I know now. So I get my E3 say, and they're like, yeah, old news, whatever. No one cares. Forums at geekbox.net or the Geekbox Facebook group. Go talk on there. We had a smashing political discussion the other day with a complete psychopath. I hope you're listening. And then
wait, was a psychopath? What party was a psychopath?
The No Party.
Oh, the No Party?
Yeah. The Let's Have No Government Party, which is always fun to talk about. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz is where you can go buy your digital comics, including Viz now. Their starter selection is up there. Go check those out.
And Batman and the Outsiders.
And Batman and the Outsiders, yeah.
Started releasing those. Like Charlie, I'm waiting for a sale.
We'll have a bunch of other things. Conspiratedbrock.com. That's Brock's blog. You can go on there. Comics Into Kind. That's Omar's blog. Go read his stuff that he's got over there. The Infinite Longbox podcast and the Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast. That is Charlie's multiple podcasts he does, one based off Doctor Who. I'll let you figure out which one.
And don't forget, we also have the Comics Conspiracy YouTube channel.
We do, which I've been slacking.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's on your site, and I've been slacking about putting those last couple episodes up there. I've just been I've been busy on nights, but I'm back normal now and mostly feeling better.
Nasally?
So, mostly. And I should have a lot of that stuff to start getting the more recent and older episodes up on our YouTube page. Mm-hmm. We're all on Twitter. Ryan Higgins, Ryan, Brock Sager. Comics Into Kind is Omar Larson. Bryce is Bryce Larson. Toby's Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. And before I forget, hopefully everyone's still listening here. Many of you know my girlfriend, Leanne Hill, who if you follow me on Twitter, I repost her Game of Thrones stuff pretty regularly. She was doing like Women of Game of Thrones prints and stuff like that.
Yeah, she said my last one. I'm like, but what if they introduce another main female character?
No, she's done for now. She actually just on her Etsy store, which you can find Leanne Hill Art.
I need to actually connect that on the blog.
She put up a Women of Game of Thrones like mega print for $50. It's one of all her characters. She redid a few of them to kind of touch up. So definitely check those out. But we'll hopefully be talking about this on the Geekbox a little bit tomorrow night as well. But if you are a fan of video games, possibly one that has children, she actually did some work on the Math Breakers, a 3D math exploration game that is up on Kickstarter right now. So they've got 18 days to go. They've got $18,000 out of $42,000, so they still need some help here. So hopefully you guys can check this out. Her art is actually on the very front page here. There's a little video. Her art's used at the very front page. So you can see this one of like a little kid and a little girl, a little boy and girl, kind of this big fantasy world. It is partly kind of like Skylanders, where things unlock as you collect more pieces and unlocks the new worlds. It's kind of like Minecraft, where everything's destructible, but it's all based around math. So you have like a sword, and you hit a 1 and it becomes 2 1/2s, and you hit them again and it becomes 2 1/4, and you got to use the math in order to unlock different stuff. It's actually, I've seen the game, and it's actually, if I was a little kid and I wanted to learn about math, I would much rather play this game than use a calculator or read a book.
Okay. I will tell you that just in the fact alone that you can swipe a 1 and it goes to 2 halves, and then you can swipe it again and swipe it again and swipe it again. Just from seeing kids at a high school, when they open up Excel and the first thing they do is hold the downward arrow until they can, like, forever, and then they're at like 9,000 and something row, and you're like...
There's probably some limit to what they can do here. As a 35-year-old man who doesn't know math, I find this game to be... looks like a lot of fun. Charlie, you have a bunch of kids. If maybe they would like to check out this game. And
I still remember the old Math Blaster game.
Hell yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Number Crunchers?
Yes.
Who didn't play Number Crunchers on their Apple IIe? So,
I never had an Apple IIe.
Kickstarter.com/projects/mathbreakers. That should be the link to get you there. So go check this out. Like I said, they've got some... hopefully this gets funded. I mean, they're aiming this more at schools and things like that. So they're here. I know they're actually at the Tech Museum down in San Jose showing stuff off, I think, this past weekend. So it seems like a pretty cool little game. So go check these guys out. All right, that's it for our pimping. We will catch everyone next week. Goodbye.